Alright, guys. So, if you're wondering what I'm doing right here and why I haven't started the chapter yet, it's because, well, Nick League Journal Wars Part 2 is continuing in this episode, but it will happen right after Chapter 8. So, after Chapter 8, we will see Nick League Journal Wars Part 2 happen, which means that the story will continue right after then in Chapter 9, and then that's when Journal Wars Part 2 really begins, which will be a full-fledged final episode for this series. So, for the Journal Saga's finale, we're going to end it off with a big battle. I can't spoil yet, but we'll have to get there eventually, right? So, anyways, let's continue. Chapter 7, Never Back Down. I wish I could have said one last word. I wish I could have saved those Mustangs, but nothing has ever gone as bad as this. Nina was totally frightened by what she saw. Nick, fight this parasite, Nina yelled out loud. I can't, I screamed. Yes, you can. You're a leader, Nick. I know you'll win at any given second, Nina yelled out loud again. I'll never say never, but see, here's my problem with that. I can't defeat a symbiote from controlling my genes within surviving a black liquid that'll take full control of myself anyways. But now I just figured out an idea. What if I can control time itself by doing something wickedly creative? Aha, you never thought I'd say that, huh? So as I choose to be even more controllable, I sucked my symbiote into the slim body I've had, and then the entire Nickley came up and realized I'll be good enough to stop Primal massive vortex. We eventually made it all the way on top of this giant skyscraper above, because believe it or not, Amir the Wicked was opening the raft wider. But yet, Dr. Roman was somewhat looking above the end of time, which seems like they were being extra powerful. Yet I may have now statue versions of Nate Wright's closest friends, if I'm not mistaken. Even I saw Christopher G. and Joe Nathan, my bad, as a statue, but furthermore, Molly Fulcher was now turned to a golden statue instead. Jaden Fogler caught Dr. Slayer's eye, because now he knew who this was. But wait, is Dr. Slayer actually Ryder? That was when I put the exact pieces in perfect shape. The Nick Bruce's movie main villain was Dr. Slayer, who was going to play by Ryder himself. 2021 equals key. Ryder, are you Dr. Slayer? I asked. Who's Ryder? He said. Oh no. Ever since he came into the battle world, Ryder's forgotten who he was, which explains why he tried killing me from the start. Then I noticed how Electro Boy looked similar until cracking the code meant he was Kenneth once before. I'm highly surprised that Caden Norris still remembers who he is, regardless when he's that guy titled Deadpool Jr. Ryder ran up to Jaden Vogler's statue, which Nina then says, "Get away from my cousin," and it's officially confirmed. Ryder is also part of the family tree, but Nina doesn't even know who this guy is revealed to be. I wanted to explain to Nina about the truth behind certain members of our group. But now, Vecnum's voice started to talk, which freaked me out a bit. "Hello, Nicholas Bruce." "Huh? Who are you?" I asked. But something really caught my attention when a red parasite tried grabbing my arm. But Vecnum had that one handled safe and sorry. "That's a red one." The red parasite beast tried fighting myself back, so it transformed into Vecnum again and jumped extremely high up the air. The red parasite had tricked up his sleeves, but we grabbed its neck and tried eating its head off. This menace identity was revealed. I guess Isaiah Caldwell had many variants before, nevertheless. Chapter 8. Let There Be Destruction. I had actual plans to defeat Isaiah's variants named the Bloody Crusader, but even though this menace was a freak out of nature, I had to say, he put up a pretty good fight in the long run. As I tried to eat his head off, the red symbiote made himself a work of art, but turning his big old hand into a big giant blade, which had my own symbiote back away from his carnage-killing machine. Inside my head, the Vecnum symbiote said, "Don't give up, Nikki. Let's just give him a good show." I got turned up. when Vecnam said that, because I actually began to have a blast on top of Dr. Roman's skyscraper, when the Bloody Crusader got him ready for action nevertheless. "Go, Nick! Take him down!" Nina shouted. But as I almost won, Dr. Roman turned around and saw me fight 1v1, so he went ahead and knocked out my symbiote. But by then, it was already too late to save his black liquid from falling backwards. The nucleus assembled 1,000 times rougher, maybe because we had so many members in our group this time around. Dr. Slayer and Deadpool Jr., aka Caden Norris himself, were using lots of tactics and weapons on Dr. Roman's professional strength he had, while Nick Jr. and Captain G tagged along to use each other's abilities to avenge the demon's unstoppable self. I sneaked and attacked Dr. Roman at Godspeed, because the moment I turned angry, the moment I realized what I'd become, I should have cooled my rule. But by then, it was already a dead end. I became Rick Bruce himself. There was no turning back now, since gaining negative energy had all made perfect sense from what my future self warned me at this exact time frame. I messed with the ability of space and time. 'Cause you wouldn't dare mess with time if you didn't know what you'll regret later. But I knew at any second that what my future self told me, the more you travel throughout time's past point, the more you'll turn twisted into someone you're not. It made me think real clearly. Maybe I don't gotta be like him. And because I took out this negative energy, I used it to reverse before Dr. Roman knocked the living symbiote out of me. Really, I let Vecnam handle his instincts, and we used a giant black mallet towards causing havoc. Yet Mir the Wicked had sensed our instincts, but she wicked me out, like something had brainwashed her elsewhere. We figured it out. And just this once. Amira has been, and I repeat, has been controlled by Dr. Roman himself, and although Amira and me, you know what, each other at the start, before our team officially ran its course, still wanted more sex. Time had stopped, but as my dick got longer and longer, Mira pulled down my pants and started, you know what. Back shots I squished, but by the moment I lifted her up, and it's cool. Except my vision wasn't clear. Because none of that was real, so I overcome Amir the Wicked's impossible fantasy to getting back my symbiote in check, making sure to put this fight into the test. Let's face it, Amira, our relationship is over with. I see you picked a side by me figuring out that you work for a serious retard like Dr. Roman to cause everybody who's turned into a stone a normal place. I'm sorry, but I have already found the love of my life. Because fact checked, all you really wanted is a hoe, I said. A hoe? She responded. Yeah, I said. Then let me rip your skull out. Except I already had somebody to eat her own skull out anyways, and that was Vecnam's duty to do so. Delicious, Vecnam said. The Bloody Crusader unfortunately had put Vecnam on a chokehold, which meant we're about towards from death. Let there be Crusader, he said. An unexpected approacher whammed the red symbiote across the face, tormenting the big and bad parasite until its kill was done for. You know I got your back, sir, Nikki said. You're alive, I yelled back. Oh, that's because I came back alive once Battle World started. That meant the timeline got all screwed up, which helped me rise back to center, sir, Nikki explained. Me, Nick Jr. and Nikki reunited as even cool Nick band forces to defeat the impossible himself. But exactly what a coward did at the moment he vanished. Dr. Roman did exactly the same thing. Not only did Nikki join forces once more, but it looks like our destiny would take place somewhere else. I would like to call it a hopeful reunion. Intro for Nick Lee Journal Wars Part 2. The multiverse is now at a higher risk, but ever since Dr. Roman and Primal Matt have vanished for the last 30 days, the Nick League still searches for help, not knowing what they may face later yet. So no sooner than later, They created an identical base known as Camp Hope, exactly how Nick and Nina remember it from summer 2021. Thanks to Mr. Cooper and Dr. Chapman Strange, they kept this campus on full protection lock, which meant the land is safe for now. But the Nick League may go back in time to get all the Nick's other Mohegan books, including the original 21 Happy Kid books and also other timeline diversions of those Mustangs, because it's the only way to stop the events of Mr. Matt's creation of Battle. Who will assemble next? And more coming soon. The Nick League members, characters select. Nick Bruce / Vecnum, Nick Jr., Nikki, Cool Nick, Michelle Bruce, Nina, Caden Norris, Deadpool Jr., Ryder Vulgar, Dr. Slayer, Kenneth / Electro Boy, Christopher G / Captain G, Mr. Cooper, Chapman Williams / Dr. Chapman Strange, Nate Wright, and Captain Underpants. More will assemble soon in this second part. December 3rd, 2023, Tuesday. Apparently, ever since we saw them statues of our beloved friends and family, they were literally straight holograms, which meant all of this was a setup to make us feel like we're further away from defeating an army of thousands of Matthew Kleins. But it's been a totally 30 days since them two hadn't come out of the shadows because nothing we did worked. We're pretty much over the idea of saving life as we knew it to be. Because as far as all of us know, they're immortal. When Mr. Cooper and Dr. Chapman Strange asked us what would put us more easier towards staying put at, it became clear what we created as our own headquarters from now on. Pathways to Hope, aka Camp Hope. Sometimes, whenever a floating island be looking like the one platform from Thor Ragnarok, it feels almost better than what the original Camp Hope had to offer. And because Dr. Chapman Strange and Mr. Cooper created an identical world for ourselves, they also gave it a lot of more interesting features to spend plenty of time with. This giant wilderness we called had big old mountains titled Green Hill Zone, and not only did we get our own Nick League headquarters afterwards, but every single Friday to Saturday night, we'd be throwing a party on Camp Hope's core. Me and Nina be sleeping together sometimes at the lake, which feels like we're almost finally made a home for ourselves at last. But just last night while I slept around 12 p.m. at midnight, I had a dream where I was waking from through the woods at nighttime. The dream had another portal open up, but it turns out Demon Nick showed back up, yet his suit was inside out from my red and yellow suit into yellow and red. Then a whole lot of blood was on his whole cosplay, which had all the Nick League members dead, including Nina. That's when I woke up from this crazy nightmare I had, and Nina woke up as well on the great grassy field too. But things took a much darker route once the hidden figure vanished into thin air. The next day, our team of warriors began searching for this evil variant of mine, so whatever happened once Nina killed him off didn't go according to plan. But something started to wrap around my head that Nina was hiding a darker reasoning for her being alive. In fact, I started to notice a pattern, no cap about it. Even my Vecnum symbiote couldn't put two pieces together, which meant that I had no choice but to investigate myself. Me and Nina sat at the outdoor cafeteria table, which was like a 2-story stairway. I had to talk with Nina herself. And so when I asked her again why she's been acting so weird lately, her face grinned. "What are you hiding from me, Nina?" I yelled. "Don't you see I'm not your Nina?" she said. "Then what are you?" I began asking again. Like I said, "I am not your Nina," she began with a creepy smirk on her face. But now her pink electricity flow began turning ultraviolet, which gave me the chills of my life. "Whoever you are, I am not messing around," I yelled back out loud. "Because, Nick, you know who I am," she said, with her whole body turning into the yellow and red suit, which made me use the symbiote to fight back. But sadly, this extremely suspicious evil variant of mine totally dominated Vecnum, which meant that I had to use all my speed towards stopping the true demonous fellow ever. "So you're the one who killed Nina," I shouted. "If you want to know, you gotta catch me first," he said. My anger was off the rails. Me and him raced across the entire land, except this dude was way faster than I would ever be. It took a lot of skills just to defeat him, and I sucker punched him to the point where he just revealed only his mask name, Reverse Nick. Even after I sucker punched Reverse Nick, he raced across the land when out of nowhere, the entire Nick League figured out this evil variant of mine was playing a true Nina imposter. As a disguise, Mr. Cooper tried throwing a massive spell to trap Reverse Nick into the Sanctum, underground from the Nick League headquarters. But still, Reverse Nick grabbed that spell with his bare hands, which did Mr. Cooper dirty once he nearly killed him off by the tense force of magic. I'd really started getting worn out from running too much, because after Reverse Nick had ran through a portal quick as hell, I knew at this moment he's gonna have to come see me, and soon we may find out why this masked clone version of myself had got away with murder. Only clue being, my bad, maybe Rick just didn't kill Nina after all. Chapter 9, Wednesday. The Nick League was in a full-length crisis, and now it only took certain members in the group to realize that something big is coming our way. For one, who is Reverse Nick? And for two, where does the roadmap end for us? I didn't really understand how or why we've gotten this far through life, but let me tell you, I needed a source clue with the man behind the yellow mask. But whatever adventure we strive for next, it's gonna be one crazy moment through time. Then I realized we don't have our group of vengeance just go back in time and travel forwards from there. The math is simple enough. Have you ever watched Netflix's TV show titled The Flash, where in season 3 Barry Allen decided to draw a time loop from present to today? He did that math all from his very own head, which explains whether or not the Nick League can do this exact same thing. But the math you see from my universe didn't hesitate towards wiping out an entire timeline for good. Sometimes I wish those that could have stopped Matt's plan succeeding well enough would have even stopped those that plotted revenge, since now we can't go back in time nor figure out how to redo what he planned on doing for many generations after generations he grew older and wiser with. But intentionally, my plan hasn't got to do with a lot of spark, considering the facts being given. It's just an idea, so we'll see if my team could accept us from seeking another adventure for one last ride. Or am I wrong, because time can only predict itself as I wander inside the blink of an eye. But I still had the bright side of me, because this group did not dislike the idea of traveling backwards. They felt almost puzzled onto its nature's saving. And from what I've can experience in this global phenomenon, we did a test in objects Mr. Cooper had brought along as vision, kind of putting ourselves in which we strive to have. The creation made itself simple. Touching this highly tech-skilled giant will bring yourself back to the past if you just ask it where you needed to be at. Mr. Cooper titled the mega giant Freakish Way to Travel, but its title actually comes fuller than other old technology from back in the day. The Genesis Giant BB Best. But our future would rely on us if using the entire multiverse that had gotten everything worked up for was worth a change in her heart. And it didn't take too long towards finding out anyways, because our plan had worked under the basement. Where being 10 stories down at a new laboratory was pretty scary enough, but instead far above it. We had our own neon suits, which helped us get through each timeline easier. We ended up getting to the year 2018, which may most likely have a huge risk factor put into it. Nick League Journal Wars Part 2 to be continued. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on MoneyHeistLil15 on Instagram. So yeah. But anyways, I must go about and stay safe, because we're in a time frame where we cannot change. So yeah. But anyways, peace out and bye.